Hello and welcome to the Unnamed Automotive Podcast. My name is Sami Haj Assad, and with me, as always, is my good friend and fellow automotive journalist, Benjamin Hunting. Say hi to the people, Ben.
Greetings, human listeners.
Greetings to everyone. If this is the first time you're listening to our podcast, thank you for trying something new. I will reiterate, Ben and I are a pair of automotive journalists, but you know what? You know what's more important than that?
Oxygen?
Well, yeah. But the fact, a little bit lower down the list than oxygen, is the fact that we're very good friends. Right, Ben?
I agree that friendship is lower on the list than oxygen.
You can find our work all over the internet. I'm going to let Ben plug a couple of his publications as well as an important thing that he's working on. Go for it, Ben.
So we're in the last few days of the Kickstarter campaign for my latest comic book, Dead Air, which is about a world where one day out of the year you can talk to the dead. And it focuses around a group of friends in a college radio station in the 90s and their adult selves 15 years later as they try to understand a tragedy that occurred in their friend group and whether this DTAC technology can help them make it right. This is the third issue in the series, but all three issues are available at deadaircomic.com on the Kickstarter. I know a lot of you have already supported, and thank you so much for that. We are still, at the time of this recording, only about 80% of our way to the goal. Kickstarter's an all or nothing kind of deal. So if you feel like reading a comic book that I wrote about this is your chance to do it. You can even get a digital copy, which is really affordable. It's up $5 US or $7 Canadian. Or you can get a print copy. It's up to you. deadaircomic.com to get all of that good stuff.
In addition to that, you can find Ben's work in a couple of places, but it seems like you don't want people to go there. You want them to just go to Kickstarter.
I want people to just be themselves.
Oh yeah, you want people to be themselves, but if them being themselves results in them checking out some of your content or your work,
don't say content. I don't produce. I
won't say content. I'll stop. I gotta stop.
You gotta. It's like slapping yourself in the face when you say content.
I know, and you know how much I hate hitting myself in the face.
Like if you're a teacher and you go to work, you don't say that you spent the day producing content to educate children. Like that's just not. You're educating children. You're teaching children. It's the same thing if you're a writer. You're not producing content. You're creating writing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You can find my work. You can find my content at autotrader.ca and driving.ca, as well as driving.ca's YouTube channel. Ben, we've got some cars to talk about this week. Did you hear that?
I did hear it.
We've got some cool cars to talk about this week. Ben, you've got another Volkswagen. It's been a little while. We talked about the Taos last week.
Yeah, I want to, before we talk about the Volkswagen, though, I should want to mention this week is Formula One week in Montreal, which is the city closest to where I live, like the large city closest to where I live. And as a result, it's the time of year where we're recording this on a Wednesday and the festivities really start on a Thursday. Mm-hmm. So keep in mind, this is 24 hours before things start. This is the time of year where desperate PR people who have either cancellations in their roster of journalists who are supposed to attend an event, or who maybe didn't plan ahead and are trying to struggle to find local or local-ish people to show up at their events, send out blanket emails about pretty much everything. And it's funny because, for one, it shows that like I was not the first thought for whatever this event is. Like they want me to talk to this driver or meet an F1 steward or talk about watches or whatever it is. Sometimes it's very strange. Sometimes it seems directly related to Formula One, like you're talking to FIA stewards. And other times it's like, here's a tertiary sponsor who wants to fill seats at their launch party or whatever it is. Anyway, either I wasn't the first choice, or like they expect me to be able to, within like 16 hours, clear my day, show up in a different city and magically have a client who's interested in what they're providing. This is a little bit of inside baseball. I know this isn't interesting to most listeners, but it's like a little bit behind the scenes of sometimes how automotive journalism works, where you get bombarded by PR that's not really related to what you do.
You get sent a whole lot of Hail Marys from people about covering their stuff.
It's like, so you cover cars, well then obviously you would be interested in racing, and then beyond that, obviously you would be interested in this tiny subset of a thing that's tangentially related to racing. And
right.
I do feel bad for people in PR who are forced into these positions where
Yeah.
they're not able to plan, like for whatever reason. Maybe it was a last minute thing that was sprung on them, and then they have to somehow make it happen. So we're in that season right now. I'm getting I think about 3 or 4 emails in the last 24 hours that are related to this.
Well, I had a F1 thing get pulled out from underneath my feet last month. It was so strange.
Yeah, Sami was supposed to come visit me, and
that was so brutal.
Because an organization wanted him to show up in a different city and initially told him that, yeah, we'll get you there. And then we're like, no, we can't get you there.
My first question was, are you capable of getting me there? Because, fuel, airplane fuel costs apparently have gone up.
It's like a 600-kilometer distance. Yeah. It's not like one town over. And this is a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, we'll do it. And then next week said, oh, you know what? Yeah, we looked into it and we can't.
We can't do it, but still come and cover our thing and spend a lot of money to get to where we're going so you can talk about this tangentially related racing thing. And it's like...
The worst part, though, is I actually got coverage. Like, somebody said they'll take it and all this stuff. And I could not believe that happened to me. It really is unfortunate.
And I know it sounds spoiled, like, oh, you guys expect to be transported here and there. No, don't expect it. But when you're invited somewhere...
But I asked.
Yeah, when you're invited somewhere, you ask, and they're told, yes, we can get you to where this event is happening because it's very far away from where you live.
And is the most expensive week of Montreal, to be in Montreal. Yeah.
So, anyways. So when that rug pull was not fun. So no, Sami and I forever apart, it seems.
That's not true. We're going to do it. We're going to get together. Ben, we've got some cool cars to talk about this week. We got a Volkswagen, as I mentioned. Hit me, because there's only so few Volkswagens in the Volkswagen lineup. Which one of the 5 is it?
This is the rarest one.
Are you really?
Yeah, because it's not a crossover, it's not an SUV, and it's not a van.
Ooh.
It is, I believe, the only sedan that Volkswagen currently offers in North America. RIP, what was it called? The really big one.
Arteon,
RIP Arteon, which they sold one last year. If you look at their sales report in the US, someone bought an Arteon.
It's a good looking car. I see them every once in a while and I'm like, whoa, unicorn sighting.
I have no problem with them. Oh, speaking of unicorn sightings, I saw 2 ELRs yesterday within the space of an hour.
There might be listeners who have no clue what an ELR is.
ELR was the Cadillac version of the Volt. Mm-hmm. It was very expensive.
First generation Volt.
First generation. There's only one generation, isn't there? Are there 2 generations?
There's kind of a second gen.
Okay. So when it came out, and this means this vehicle is like 12 years old at this point, something like that. When it came out, it cost $80,000, which was a huge amount of money to pay for what was essentially a Volt.
With 2 less doors.
Yeah, coupe form. It had a tiny bit more power. I really liked it. It was a very good car. It was in no way worth that amount of money. And the market agreed with me. No one bought them. It's, I think, the rarest modern Cadillac, except for the Blackwing, the CT6 Blackwing.
The CT6 Blackwing.
Yes, with the actual Blackwing engine, which is the only application for that bespoke motor. So these are the 2. So anyway, the first one I saw, it sits in a lot outside of a dealership where I pick up cars from. And I thought it was a customer car at first, but it's been there a while now and the tires are sagging and maybe something happened. So that one doesn't really count, except that on the way home from that dealership, I passed another ELR, which never happens. You never see them out on the road. Like in Canada, I think they might have sold like 800 or something, which is crazy. But
that is a unicorn.
So the unicorn I'm driving, less unicornish, but still pretty rare, Volkswagen Jetta. Now, Sami, there was a time when Jettas were everywhere.
Everyone had a Jetta in like the 2000s, I think.
Yeah, they were a popular car. And then
90s
Volkswagen
or 2000s?
Both of those. Very close friend of mine grew up driving Jettas. I spent a lot of time in Jettas. There's someone nearby to where I live now who has a 90s Jetta in that minty green color. You know what I'm talking about?
Minty green?
Yeah, it's like a mint green that was on a lot of Jettas. It looks really nice. This one's a little bit lowered. It's tastefully done. Anyway. Okay. Then Volkswagen was like, what if Jetta, but bigger? Yeah. And like, we got larger and larger versions of the car. This kind of happened with the Passat too. The Passat got extremely large and eventually Volkswagen ran out of customers for the Passat. No, they didn't really know who was buying it. The Jetta kind of fills a weird position where it's technically a compact car still, like according to EPA volume, but it does feel bigger than a lot of other compacts out there.
That's worth talking about.
Like,
is it bigger?
I was in an Elantra not too long ago, and the Jetta feels like a larger car.
In a good way or a bad way? Because sometimes a big car can be like a little bit like wallowy, a little bit more unresponsive, a little bit heavier.
Well,
that kind of stuff,
that's
right?
kind of the Jetta thing anyway, right? Like, it's
okay.
We're gonna get to that, but it just feels like a family car, and it's a little surprising that it's compact. I had the Jetta Sport, which is its own trim in the United States, but in Canada, it's actually a options package on the Comfort line, which is like mid trim. And before you get too excited,
I was getting very excited.
The Sport only really means one thing, and that is XDS differential in the front. Everything else is cosmetic. You get different wheels, you get some blacked out trim. In Canada and the States, the wheels are different. But in general, there's not a lot to the package. It's pretty basic.
Is XDS related to the sort of like equipment you would find on a GLI or a GTI?
Yes, it's a brake-based electronic limited slip system that is intended to improve cornering by lightly braking, I guess, the inside wheel. By
ruining your brake pads. Perfect.
Yeah, also, like,
kidding. I'm kidding.
It's supposed to improve traction off the line, but the joke about that is this has a 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engine that produces 158 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque.
Oh, you really need that traction off the line. Every little bit.
There's really no situation where you're going to need a limited slip differential. I found two. One is if you have the wheel cranked all the way to one side and you slam on the gas, you might get some wheel spin. The other was
what an unhinged maneuver in a compact car.
Yeah, I call that the parking garage express. And then the other way was I was testing out the transmission in sport mode, which lets you shift it. And I was going up a hill and it was a bit slick. The road was a little bit damp. And in first gear, I had the traction control light flash at me, but I didn't have any wheel spin. And I'm wondering if that's because the XDS intervened. Impossible to know.
No, we'll never find out.
It doesn't really matter though, because last week I had a Taos that had the same motor. Mm-hmm. In that application, I thought it was fine. In the Jetta, it's also fine, but it's no way sporty. Like, there is nothing sporty about this car. Even when I was doing those aggressive uphill twisty runs, it held its own, but it's not a car that engages you. It's not a car that's like, hey, we should go driving, when it's sitting in your driveway. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm really comfortable and surprisingly fuel efficient. Like, do you want to hear what I got for fuel mileage in this car, Sammy?
Yeah, hit me.
On the highway, I got 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers.
Okay, that's very good.
Do you know what that is in miles per gallon?
Like 60.
It's 50. It's 50 miles per gallon. And then I didn't really believe it. So I tried like pushing it.
That's reasonable though. Like, that's a totally reasonable response to a gas-powered car achieving like hybrid fuel efficiency.
Yeah, and I pushed it as hard as I could. I was doing all my testing and whatnot. Mm-hmm. My average overall for the whole week was 6 liters per 100 kilometers.
That's very nice.
And on the highway, on the return trip to Montreal, I was able to match like 5.1. So it wasn't like a fluke thing that happened. And what's crazy is like Volkswagen, I think, advertises 36 or something like that.
Miles per gallon? Like combined? 36 combined, and you're easily getting 40.
I'm easily getting 50, dude, on the highway. That's insane.
Yeah, and so is that, what do you think that is? Gearing or?
I think it's two things. Gearing, it has an 8-speed automatic.
Yeah. And they usually have these extra long, 6, 7, 8 gears, no?
The other thing, perhaps, I was driving 100 kilometers an hour, which is 62 miles an hour. Because gas is really expensive right now.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to improve your fuel efficiency is just drive the speed limit. Like, normally I drive 120, which is about 70. So I'm dropping 20%. I'm in the limit and I'm able to get, but in theory, like, this is also how Volkswagen tests its cars, right? They don't have like their foot to the floor at the EPA test track. It's not how it works. So I'm super impressed because the other thing about the Volkswagen, even though it doesn't have enough power to really feel sporty, as the name suggests, it does have enough power to do everything else. Like, I don't feel like it's a penalty box. I didn't feel like I had not enough power to do what I needed to do in the car. It never felt too weak for anything. So to have an engine that feels all around pretty good and gets 50 miles per gallon on the highway, that's crazy. And it's also a very, to my way of thinking, large car for a compact. Like, this is a useful vehicle.
Okay. Keep going. You're kind of like turning my mind on this, because to me, the Jetta is a bit of a sleepy car that...
It's very sleepy.
That just doesn't have... It's just like... I struggled until you just told me this, to get into the mindset of a buyer who would put this above any other car in its class, especially the Korean cars or the Honda Civic. Civic is a little bit more expensive, so I understand why that's immediately like moved down the short list of like compact cars.
And I think if you want 50 miles per gallon, you're going to have to pay more for the hybrid, right?
So yeah, now I'm listening to you. But of course, the thing about this Jetta is that it's not advertised as a 50 mile per gallon car.
No.
It just, people will have to pay attention to these kinds of reports that you're providing. But otherwise, like styling, interior and exterior styling always seemed sleepy. Performance always seemed sleepy.
It's not an interesting car to look at. It has the same problem that Taos does inside, where like the technology does feel and look and feel dated. It all works. It has a small infotainment screen. It has my vehicle, because it had the sport package. It comes with the 10.25 inch digital cockpit cluster. Mm-hmm. It's not that impressive. It's just there. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't really dazzle you in the way that pretty much every other company does these days. I think Volkswagen has taken an old school approach to infotainment. I don't have a problem with that necessarily, but other buyers might, and I recognize why they would. Inside too, like it's monochromatic. It's just, here's your car, again, I don't have a problem.
What we said about the Taos was that it's like really stereotypically Volkswagen. Like, it looks like a Volkswagen, as a Volkswagen has looked this way for the past like 15 years.
Yeah, and the Jetta kind of looks like that, just like embiggened a little bit.
That's not good. That's not, I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad. I think it's not good because
it's pretty cheap in Canada. It's $32,400 for a comfort line, and then if you want sport, the sport package, you're looking at a $1,600 upcharge. So you're up to like $34,000.
Topped out, essentially.
In the States, you are looking at the sport at its own trim. It's $26,000. That's for nice. That money.
I'm liking this because it means that it's a lower upfront cost than many other compacts, and it's got lower running costs because of the fuel economy.
Yeah. So I think that this is a good commuter car. Like, cool. Honestly,
especially for longer distances, because you said you can get such good fuel economy on the highway.
I could see people making an argument to have this on a test drive list if you need a car for the daily drive, and maybe, like you said, you have a somewhat extended daily drive.
But is it comfortable? Like the seats are comfy?
Yeah, it's fine. No problems.
No, but like you don't want to be stuck in no problems. Okay.
So the other thing to think about, though, there's another perspective to look at the Jetta Sport, and that is the fact that when you have this kind of sport package, you're opening yourself up to competition from other compact cars in a similar spot on the market. And what I mean by that is this Jetta is an almost sporty compact in the same way not in the same way, but it's almost sporty in the sense that above it is the GLI, which is the truly performance-oriented version of the Jetta, which has a more sophisticated multi-link rear suspension. It has a more powerful engine, I think 70 or 75 more horsepower, and bigger brakes, better stuff, all of that kind of thing. The Jetta Sport is none of that, except for this XDS, pretty much. But that doesn't mean
which seems a little less useful,
a little suspect. But there are other car companies that offer similar vehicles. I'm going to go through them. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Subaru Impreza RS. So this is a vehicle that is not, again, it's not a WRX, and it doesn't really offer a ton of performance. But what it does do is it gives you 180 horsepower from a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine versus the 2 liter, which I think is the same horsepower as the Jetta Sport that's in the base Impreza. And you get a sport tuned suspension. So that's not a lot, but that is a little bit of something. So that's an almost sporty car.
I will say that like in actuality, it's not a very sporty car in any way.
No, it's the same. The other thing to think about with the RS is that engine is now standard in Canada in the Crosstrek, which is based on the Impreza. So moving on, there's the Hyundai Elantra N-Line, which is not as powerful as the actual Elantra N, but it does have a 201 horsepower turbo, 195 pound-feet of torque, multi-link rear suspension, a little bit more styling than the Jetta Sport does, and a 7-speed dual clutch automatic that has paddle shifters instead of forcing you to shift with the shifter at the center. I'd say it pushes past the Jetta Sport in terms of performance. It's not really that engaging to drive, but it is quicker. It's $1,000 more in Canada. So that's a consideration. It won't get the fuel mileage that Jetta does, but if you really care about sport, but you don't want to pay for an Elantra N, this is your option. I got one more on this list, and that's the Kia K4 GT Line Turbo. In the States, there's also a GT Line that doesn't have the turbo engine, but in Canada, you can only get it with the turbo. It's the same motor as the Elantra, but it's tuned to like 190 instead of 201, which is a little weird. It has a conventional 8-speed automatic, so same as the Jetta. So you're not getting that DCT, but it has the multi-link rear suspension, and it has bigger brakes at all 4 corners. It's a little bit more expensive in the sense that it's $35,500 for the hatchback version and $35,000 for the sedan. It'll give you roughly the same performance profile as the N-Line. I haven't driven it yet. I haven't driven any of the K4s. Sammy, have you?
No, not yet.
So that's my roundup. So that's pretty much what the Jetta's going up against. I thought about including the Civic Si in this list, but the Si truly does make more of an effort than all 3 of these cars.
Well, it's manual only, so I mean, that changes things quite a bit too.
Yeah, so you can't really have it in there.
No.
And there's not many other compact cars to begin with. So this is pretty much where you're at.
Yeah.
I guess you could put a Maverick Lobo in here.
That's what Ford would like us to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
No.
I don't like listening to them when they say that. Can I tell you more? Can I ask you more about just how everything this is? Like, it is such a strange discussion to have to justify people that the Jetta, which used to be so popular and I think well loved by like everybody in the compact car community, now we're asking people to we feel like we're justifying it in a way that it is actually still it's still competitive in its segment.
I just think people have kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah. And that, like I said, it makes sense because there has been a lot of improved competition in this class. Like, there really has been.
And we were talking before the show, we were trying to figure out when the last time was we'd driven a base Jetta. So we've driven GLIs over the last couple of years, but the last time we were in a base Jetta was 2019.
A long time ago.
Because the fleet managers, not the fleet managers, but the Volkswagen fleet people, they're really pushing the GLI. I think that's, maybe a better profit center, maybe a more competitive car for them. Maybe they don't need to advertise the base Jetta because people are just buying it based on budget concerns. It's in the realm of cars that people purchase because of price, because they're affordable. But I think that the Jetta has more than that going for it. I do think that this fuel economy is incredible. And I didn't do anything special. I really didn't. There
isn't like an eco mode that is super slow.
There is an eco mode. I didn't normally use it. I was mostly in normal mode.
Okay.
So, and that 6 liters per 100 kilometers included my high speed testing uphill and downhill country road runs where I was in sport mode and sport everything. So at Redline. Pretty impressive.
Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to this Jetta? Am I rushing you?
No, just let's move on. You're clearly done with it.
No, I'm not. But I do think, let's be clear. Volkswagen has a really weird product lineup where it feels like some of their vehicles are not top of the class or class leading in any particular way. And they often get criticized for their infotainment systems immediately off the bat.
They're better than they were.
Yeah. This is what I'm trying to say. Is I think they're improving in a number of ways that people will not necessarily see or hear about.
Yeah.
So for example, the infotainment system is slightly improved. This fuel efficiency thing, I would never have imagined, with the exception of the TDI diesel Jettas, I would never have put the Jetta as a fuel efficiency kind of leader, especially compared to some of the other cars in its class.
Yeah.
All of those ones have practically had to resort to a hybrid powertrain in order to achieve that kind of fuel efficiency. So that really shows some sort of like improved execution from the brand, but they've been keeping it kind of quiet, it seems, or just it hasn't been reported.
Jetta is just the best kept secret at the Volkswagen dealership.
Well, I don't know. Do you think so? Like, truly, do you think that?
I think it's definitely a secret.
Is it a joke? Like, because you drove the Taos and you said it was pretty good.
Yeah, Taos.
I've driven the Atlas and I said actually it wasn't that bad. So,
but there's a new Atlas coming, so who knows?
That's true.
Yeah,
I drove it as soon as they right on the day they announced the new one. So, anyways, this week I've got a cool car that I think is something we haven't talked about in a long time. That's
the theme of today's show.
Is the Ford Explorer. I think we talked about it last year. I think I drove the ST, which
You're
is
always driving Explorers.
Me?
Yeah. Up to cottage country. I think if I remember it correctly.
Yeah. I am not driving the ST this time around. I'm driving a more mid-ranged version of the Explorer. It's called the Tremor.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Tremor is mid-range?
Yeah, in the US.
What is Timberline then?
There is no Timberline. Timberline is dead now.
Wow, okay.
I wanted to talk to you about this because, you know, we've been talking so much over the past few years about like fake off-road. Like off-road trims have become a really big selling, like marketing stunt, right?
Yeah, it's like 90% of vehicles. I can hear you typing. Are you typing about off-road stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how off-road is off-road. And I wanted to ask you specifically, this is now called the Tremor, but before that, they had something called the Timberline.
And the Timberline was, as I recall, very modestly equipped for off-road. Like, I think it was perhaps mostly an appearance package.
Yeah.
Like it had a different plastic cladding and it had maybe like a plastic skid plate. I don't know where I'm pulling that from, but it feels like it could have that.
I don't have the information. I was trying to find the most information I can over the Timberline, but I just think it's so funny that they can just like, remember Timberline? Well, don't. We got a new one. Like, and it's even funnier that Tremor is like a trim name that's now transcending just it goes across the line. You can get and I think you can get an F-150 Tremor. You can get am I mistaken? You can get a Maverick Tremor.
Yeah, you can get Tremors of almost every SUV or pickup. I don't think there was ever an Edge Tremor or an Escape Tremor. And there's no Bronco Sport Tremor.
No.
This feels like a sub-level of like any vehicle that has a Raptor doesn't get a Tremor except for F-150.
So this is a version of the truck that is, again, a midline. There are two models in the Ford Explorer lineup that are more expensive and they have different kind of...
Is there a King Ranch?
No, it's Platinum and then ST. So Platinum is the more luxury-oriented model, and then ST is the more performance-oriented model. And Tremor is more catered towards being off-road ready. How off-road ready to like what do you expect from off-road ready that is effective, right? So we've got all-terrain. I've got Falcon. Are they Falcon? No, Duelers. What is Duelers?
Oof, I used to know the answer to that. It's not Cooper.
Is it Bridgestone?
Okay.
I think they're Bridgestones. And it's got these all-terrain tires. It's got some... They say it's front and rear skid plates or deflector plates. It's the official terminology.
Deflector plates.
At the Ford website.
Do I have to energize those before battle?
Yeah, of course. You get to choose. Wouldn't that be great? Like, direct all energy towards the front deflector plate as you approach a massive rock.
I would definitely use that while I was parking. I would have like a threatening glow on my deflector plate.
Speaking of a threatening glow, there are some interesting off-road lights on this truck embedded into the... Now you're gonna love this because embedded into the grill
are these.
Why? Because I said so.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Embedded into the grill are these two like LED strips, And do you know what they remind anybody who sees this grill of? They remind them of the police, because you know that the Ford Explorer is also a police, like commonly found on a police fleet, and those are outfitted with these LED lights in the grill and on the hood, on the roof.
You're saying that you were unable to drive faster than the speed limit because no one would speed in front of you while you had the vehicle?
Exactly. And then in addition to that, it has these Tremor logos inside on the headrests. And there are these really weird orange accents. There's front tow hooks that are painted orange. There are orange accents on the 18-inch wheels. And there's also that orange accent on that light strip in the grille. Inside is typical Explorer fare. My model has a 3-liter V6 engine, which is pretty nice. It has 400 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. And it also has a limited slip rear axle.
It's turbo, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this limited slip limited slip diff is exclusive to the Tremor. I haven't had any opportunity to use it just yet. And it also says that it has an increased ride height and off-road tuned suspension. I don't think it's like I don't think the ride height increase is a byproduct of the suspension. To me, it feels like it's probably a tires thing.
Just dueler action.
Yeah, duelers being duelers. I really hope they're duelers now that I think about them.
Do you remember Fraggle Rock?
Yeah. Do I remember? I don't know it.
The Doozers?
The Doozers.
So the Doozers were these little construction dudes, and they would build stuff, and their Fraggles would eat the stuff that they built.
Okay.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that. Now,
okay.
Well, although you are like, I think I didn't remember it, and now you've triggered something, and my brain is going into like overtime and like picturing this.
Duelers made
terrifying
me think Doozers, so.
Among the things that I needed to mention here is that you can get a 2. I think you can get a 2. Let me make sure. I think you can get one of the 4-cylinder engines of the Tremor, but my model had the 6-cylinder. How do you feel about that?
I don't want a 4-cylinder Expedition. I mean,
it's an Explorer. Yeah. Why?
I just don't. I think it's too big a vehicle for that level of. I mean, look at the Honda Pilot. You can't get a 4-cylinder version of that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what I'm saying is I want a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6.
That's good. I like that. What else do I want to talk to you about with this?
It's okay if you have no more thoughts about the Tremor.
No, I have plenty. Hold on 1 second. Give me a minute.
You've done a good 9 minutes on the Tremor. Don't be intimidated by the 24 minutes on the Jetta.
Sorry, I'm just trying to organize my thoughts, and I don't do a very good job of that, to be clear. This is a 3-row SUV. It's got buckets in the second row, or captain's chairs in the second row, and a bench in the third.
Is there enough room between the buckets for your child to throw a shoe all the way to the front of the truck?
Absolutely. He can wind up so nicely.
Okay.
Except for I started taking off his shoes. Have I not mentioned this?
You have, but sometimes you're tired and you forget. I mean,
yeah. Well, especially when I know that his shoes are clean, because he's in a rear facing seat. And if his shoes are dirty, he'll just put his footprints all over the seat back, right?
Of course, it's amusing.
It's hilarious. Yes. But so I started taking off his shoes, and I've been hit less with flying shoes lately. He likes it. I mean, my favorite thing is he's learning the alphabet, and he saw the word Tremor on the seat, on the headrest, and he's like, "Look, Daddy, an O." And I'm like, "Yeah, man."
Nice.
Oh, no. He said R because of his name. And he said, "Look, another one, R." And he went with that. And I love that. So if you're trying to teach your children some words or some letters, Tremor works really good. There's
cars have letters.
Cars have letters, especially. Finally, I understood why automakers, what the effective part of putting, trim levels in headrests, stitched into headrests.
Yeah, it's not for the eyes in the back of your head.
It's for remembering the letters that are in the alphabet. Other things that I want to talk about. This car is equipped with Blue Cruise, which is a hands-free driving feature. I was freaked out by Blue. I usually like these hands-free driving features because a lot of my drive home is on the highway, and I just set this and was letting it do its thing, and then suddenly I heard the signal go and the car changing lanes, and I got freaked the heck out. That was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. I did not. I thought it stopped working. I thought something was wrong with the car, but it automatically changes lanes without any input from me, which
this is the only vehicle you've driven that does this?
No, other cars that I have driven, you could touch the signals and it would do it, or nudge the signals and it will do it. This is the first one that I've ever done it automatically.
Well, GM Super Cruise automatically does it.
I have never had it do it automatically.
Yeah,
I think it's asked, or it said a lane change is available.
No, it definitely does it.
Okay.
BMW, you can look in the mirror and it will do it.
I think it asks or something along those lines. I've never had it done automatically. No input from me. Really weirded me out. Then I became curious if it was the checking the mirror thing that triggers it, but no, it's not. It just does it whenever it feels like it. And even when I had it did choose a few inopportune times to do it. As in I was approaching an exit and I wanted to stay in the rightmost lane so that I can exit the highway. And then it was like, let's just pass this slowpoke and figure it out later. And I was like, no, please don't do that.
So in Super Cruise, if you have navigation running, it will know where you're going and it will not do that.
Yeah.
So I've been
mine had navigation running, but I was using Android Auto, not
so was I. So
Android
GM's able to communicate with Android Auto for navigation information.
Okay.
And I've had situations where instead of passing slower traffic, because it knew I had an exit coming up, it kept the car in the exit lane. Again, one of the reasons why Super Cruise is superior to Blue Cruise. Blue Cruise is a system I don't really trust.
Yeah. You've had really much worse experiences. That was just the weirdest thing that I've ever seen. And again, maybe if I had been prepared for it, because I have not had this thing happen to me in the past. You can turn it
off if you don't like it.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement for these systems.
The other thing I wanted to point out, it had massage seats, which are, let's be clear, they're not massage seats. They're kind of like anti-fatigue seats more than anything else. They kind of just move your body in uncomfortable ways and to make sure you don't stiffen up too much.
Now, do they activate on their own like Hyundai does?
No, I have to turn them on manually.
So there's some cars that have this system where they detect that you've been driving for a certain amount of time, and then they're like, time for a body break, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they start it's called rejuvenation or something, and it starts running a massage pattern. It can be, to me, is more surprising than the lane change.
I think the lane change, then again, you're right. It is interesting to be poked and prodded unexpectedly in your car.
Yeah, it's just weird because also if you've been in the car for a long time, you're already kind of hypnotized by the road.
Yes,
So
that's right.
It feels a little off-putting.
The important thing to talk about with this is whether or not it is a true off-road vehicle. I don't think this is something that will replace a more dedicated off-road vehicle let's say a 4Runner. Or
does it have low range 4-wheel drive? You didn't mention that.
It has 4-wheel drive. Does it have low range 4-wheel drive?
I assume it has an off-road driving mode, but
it has an off-road driving mode, hill descent control, and a couple of these terrain, this terrain management stuff. But none of that is a low range.
All right then.
So how do you feel about that now?
It only kind of drives home your point. But what's surprising to me about that is I think that other Tremor vehicles do have, don't quote me, but I think the Maverick has a low range gearing for the Tremor. So I'm a little surprised. To me, that sounds like more of a Timberland kind of thing to not have it.
Timberland? Timberline.
Timberline. Yeah. That too.
And this is the problem, right? And it feels so weird that they introduced. Imagine Subaru after naming all of its off-road versions of its car. We already gave Subaru a hard time by saying the wilderness trims are not totally necessary because the whole purpose of an Outback is to be capable in certain off-road conditions. And then they're like, but you can go a little bit further with this. And
you imagine get stuck farther away from home.
That's right. That's the joke. I love it. But imagine like now that like wilderness has become, or wilderness has become a household name. They're just like, oh, we're going to get rid of wilderness and make it like super wilderness. And you know what I mean? Give it a new name that like goes like does away with the improvements that the Timberline provided or whatever, but still did the same thing. Okay. That's the problem. The wilderness felt like, I mean, the Timberline felt like an appearance package with some, like, that's it. Right.
Yeah. And it's the Jetta Sport of off-roading.
And this, they put a little bit more effort in, but it's still, you know, it feels like a little bit like, I would just recommend somebody spend the extra, I don't know, $2,000 on the Platinum, right? And get a nice vehicle rather than one that is catered to a road condition that it's not super well suited for.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's doing serious off-roading in an Explorer. I think it's like
and anything that
an occasional thing.
Yeah, and anything that they would occasionally do, I think perhaps a Platinum or an ST could also, well, maybe not the ST because I think it has a lower, like maybe like a front air dam or something like that.
Yeah, but it might be tire dependent too. Like the tires you're getting with the Tremor are probably very helpful. But again, like I do think that if you're in an Explorer, the situations where you're off-roading are like the road is washed out on the way to my cabin.
Exactly. Like, a gravel road or a mud road or something.
Yeah, it's very muddy. It's springtime. I got to get through it. And that's where it proves its worth. I don't think people are rock climbing with this vehicle. I think it's just too big.
But a gravel road, a regular Explorer, no matter what trim, can do it, right?
No, I don't mean a gravel road. I mean a washed out road. You end up, I don't know if you've ever been to a cabin in the springtime, but like the roads themselves, because of the thaw, can become impassable because they're just so muddy and soupy. But like that's the kind of quote unquote off-roading I think an Explorer is going to be doing around these days.
And so the question is, how do you compare this to the other like fake off-road,
like AT4 terrain and that kind of thing, or not terrain, but Acadia?
Acadia. I think there's XRT versions of the Palisade. XRT,
yeah, but I feel like that's even
and X-Line and X-Pro versions of the Telluride, right?
That's even farther away from what the Tremor's quote unquote, I keep saying that, capable of.
Yeah.
I feel like they are facsimiles of what the
those
Explorer
usually
is
are
already
just
a facsimile of.
Those usually are just tires, like in appearance, right? This one at least has a limited slip rear differential, so it's got something. It's just so I need to figure out what I think we all have to like take a look at ourselves and be like, what happened that made off-road trims such a stunt? Like
it's just styling. I mean, it's okay if you want to buy this Explorer because you like how it looks better than the other Explorers. I mean,
exactly. I'm okay with that.
You know, and I think that a lot of people, they like the idea of driving a vehicle that looks rugged. And I think a lot of car companies have leaned into that very heavily.
But every automaker has one.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have an off-road trim? Mazda?
No, the CX-50 is their off-road trim.
That's wild. Like Nissan has Rock Creek?
I don't even know what Rock Creek is.
I don't know what Rock Creek is.
It's never been adequately explained to me. I mean, they have Pro 4X, right? So it's
but I like that. I like Rock Creek. Oh yeah, they do have Pro 4X. Yeah. But I like Rock Creek because it makes me think of the terrain that this vehicle should be capable of.
Rock Creek makes me think of the song Rock Creek Park, which I think is about New York City.
Well, that's
from the 70s. So like I don't have the same associations that you
do. I love it. Anyways.
Anything else you want? No, I don't have anything else to say about the Explorer. Unless you do.
I want to say overall though, like I actually really enjoy the driving dynamics of the Explorer. The powertrain is very
mileage?
Not superbly good. It's better than my Outback at like 12.
Better than your Outback?
Yeah, 12. My Outback is awful on gas.
What does your Outback get?
I get easily 13, but I'm doing a lot of city drive. 13 liters per 100 kilometers, which is how much? Let me take a look at that. About 20 to 21 miles per gallon on in this Tremor, and I get worse in my Outback.
Our Outback with a 3.6 liter 6-cylinder engine gets better than that.
For sure.
Than your Outback. For sure. That doesn't make any sense.
Do you have the CVT?
Yes.
I have the Turbo 4, but I'm telling you again, 90% in the city.
I'm awestruck. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, it's awful. It really is the worst part of this truck.
Well, speaking of worst parts of trucks, if you want to tell us about the worst part of your truck or car or your life or the best part of your life, which was maybe better to talk about, how can people reach out and do that, Sammy?
They can head on over to our website, unnamedautomotivepodcast.com. There's a contact form there. You just fill it out and it lands right in our inbox. Additionally, you can reach out to us on social media. Both Ben and I are pretty active and responsive and engageable on Instagram. You can find Ben at Hunting Benjamin and me, I'm at Sammy_ha, like you're laughing. While you're over at our website, though, you can check out all of our previous episodes. You can subscribe to our podcast. We're really approaching like the 500 episode mark. I think we're getting closer.
So. I think this is like close to 450 now.
Really? I thought we were even more than that. Or maybe I'm counting bonus episodes in their own.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Additionally, if you don't want to go through all that rigmarole and you just want to send us an email, you can do that. It's benjamin@benjaminhunting.com. Ben, what are we talking about next week?
I'm going to be talking about the Buick Encore GX, which I have not driven in a very long time.
I am driving yet another SUV. This time it is the Land Rover Defender Octa in all capitals.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Rip my fuel mileage.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone. Bye.